three. Hey, you will make it TV followers, viewers, supporters, and listeners across the globe. Thank you for clicking on another live segment right here and tuning in with us at the You Will Make It TV YouTube channel. We're happy to have you back. Feel free to become a subscriber as well if you haven't already. We'd love to have you tune in more often, listen in on some of our insightful topics and inspirational messages and divine messages and quotes. That's what we do here at You Will Make It TV. So we're happy to have you. Uh, Without further ado, I'm gonna go straight into the topic. I always try to do a slight introduction. They're first timers, so we do understand it. It's like some of these things though, some of these new things, it's just crazy. On one side of the world, you have people, because we just did in case you missed it, please feel free to tune in to previously recorded segments. But we just did a segment about an hour ago about the uh, unalivings of Christians in Nigeria right now. And I was just here to give my commentary and reaction. And it's so crazy, like that could be going on one side of the world. And then on another side of the world, you have whole churches being brought down. I don't know, just under wraps and investigation for other things. So I'm here today to give my commentary and reaction at the same time about these very real matters. Please feel free to leave your own opinions in the comments section. And once again, we're happy to have you guys here with us. Uh, 1 second, guys. I'm gonna let a few more viewers get in the chat, and then we're gonna head straight in for this topic. Just letting a few more viewers get in, but it's just crazy. One side of the world, like I said, you have people literally being slaughtered and killed for believing in Jesus Christ, and on other sides of the world, you have whole leaders being arrested, like leaders of mega churches. Once again, nobody's guilty. And I mean, they're innocent until proven guilty, is what I was trying to say. But it has been several churches from Detroit to Texas to Florida, from what I was seeing in the news, pretty much being investigated, looked at, rated, all of that. You know what I mean? So it's not just crazy, it's just the timing, literally, while others are being persecuted in Nigeria right now for their beliefs in Christ. Other churches, I don't know. That's why I'm trying to help people see my perception of it from a spiritual point of view. It's very real. What did I say? What does my title say? Judgment starts at home. Judgment is going to start, to me, and it makes sense with those that God He knew them. God actually had a relationship with them. God knows they knew better. How do you say it? It's not just my opinion. I really strongly believe that just because I said that churches and affiliations and organizations that chose to stick the name of God or Christ behind it and say that they are there to help people, I very much so strongly believe that God is going to be judging those persons. But just because they are going to be first in line don't mean that everybody is not subject. Every soul won't be subject to answering for their lives. What do you mean? And I don't think it's just belief or my religious belief. It's just like life. How much more does life have to show us? And we've never seen things be hammered down like we're seeing it today, really. We've heard of other stories, of course, like cult stories or stories of people who escape cults and stuff like this. I'm not saying that part is new, but I'm saying like how it's been taken way, way, way more serious As far as the penalties, um, you know what I'm saying, that are being served and examples that's being made of people. Because, for a long time, to me, people just got away with, well, if that person's life is in pieces and they went to my church, that has nothing to do with me, type of deal. And it's like, how? I mean, we know that your faith is supposed to be in God Almighty anyway, no matter what church you go to. The church is just the setting or the place that you would consider the fellowship place where you come together. Fellowship always means gather, you know what I mean, with more than one. So it doesn't matter the title or which one you choose. I'm just noticing the ones that's like mega churches, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just here to give my commentary and reaction today. I did always wonder, like, how do they have such grand churches? Even when I was little, you see those type of churches on TV and stuff. Because I'm not saying all of them are the same, but you would just wonder, like, how do they have all that? Like 10 limousines, swimming pools, basketball courts. I mean, literally, I knew I was on the right track, but as a kid, you don't really understand. You just know, hey, they had to buy it, or they had the money, or I just had the what is that assumption that, hey, maybe preachers and stuff make a lot of money. But still, like, I'm using myself as an example. As a kid, you just always looked at that, like, when it came to mega churches on TV and stuff, like, how do they have all this money? I'm sorry. You got jets, you going on vacations, you traveling, and your members are coming here giving their last straggling dollars from whatever is left over from their bills. And I knew things would probably change one day, because, see, we're in modern day time now where things actually do cost more. We don't complain just for the hell of it. Not whether you're religious or not. People notice that, hey, the economy has been rapidly changing. Not saying that doesn't mean give your 10% to, don't give your 10% to God. Like, still, all of us have a different opinion too about the true definition of tithing and offering. Because, in the Bible days, their offerings might have been something like goat. Well, in the Old Testament, they might offer up a sheep or something. You know what I mean? The practice of offerings, I was just saying, across different cultures does look different. That's a whole fact. So I'm not here to try to sound technically right or more moral than anybody. I'm just giving more insight of what it's like today. You know what I'm saying? Seeing these kind of stories on the news. But back to what I was saying, that's really crazy that 200 plus Nigerians have been killed in the past 2 months, and just for believing in Christ. And then in other, well, more maybe advanced countries and stuff, people are actually being investigated or more speaking out about what they feel like they're experiencing when they attend these mega churches. And it's just crazy, because are you attending the mega church for how it looks, for how many basketball courts it has in the back of the church, how many pools the pastor has at his house? Like, I just never thought that was right. Like, you're going to say that a person is more qualified as a spiritual leader because they have the money, the funds, the bank accounts, the jets, the cars, to back up what they say they do for work. And it's very, very crazy. Churches are just like any other business. It does have to be registered as a business, I'm sure, when people open it up, as with any other ministry, any other ministry or something like that. That's crazy. I'm going to speak on it. Y'all go to sleep. Somebody in the chat said go to sleep. No, you already know I'm not finna sleep on this. This has been slept on too long. I'm giving my commentary and reaction on tonight. But happy Friday to everybody. Happy early Labor Day weekend. And still, we invite you to become a subscriber here at You Will Make It TV, where you're able to tune in to even more insightful topics just like these. We cover different things here. You know what I mean? But one thing about it, I never put a title on my work. I know that I love God. I know that I wouldn't know love if it wasn't for God. I know that it took me a while to learn that whether I assemble together with in fellowship with other people when it come to God or not, that it's a personal choice. You know what I'm saying? My faith or what I believe. And yes, I do think it's important. That's where it shows that we all on different levels. If you don't want to pay attention to the fact that 200 Christians just died in Nigeria and that churches are being raided right now for different reasons, then that's you. Here at You Will Make It TV, we care. We think it matters. Uh, we don't just encourage people with that or inspire people with that slogan, you will make it. These slogans are reserved for people that actually know what it's like to feel like you won't, just like those Nigerians over there that have lost their lives just for believing in Christ. And you got people over here still playing with people's souls or their mentalities, or I don't know how they do it, but they are building mega churches just off of people's faith. You got all these mega churches though, and still so many homeless encampments. But the preachers though, they're in really big luxury, nice houses. You know, and then if you go ask them, well, how is all your members doing? Like, what do their households look like? How are the kids that come to your church? How are they doing in school? How are the women? How are they doing in their marriages? How are the brothers? How are they doing as men leaders in their communities? Like, do people, or are they ready for those questions? Because they're coming. You know, they for so long put an image on people. Well, they're struggling if they're still struggling because they're still sinning, and that's why I'm the leader. I think that's crazy. They saying they're still struggling because they're a leader. I mean, because they're not leader, they're not on my level in spirituality and belief. So yeah, they're still struggling. That's why I'm the pastor. That's why I'm the pastor's assistant. All these different positions they have in the church that ain't even in the Bible, might I add. Now, tax collectors are in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Debtors, that's in the Bible. That ain't never went anywhere. Like, money has always been. That's my point. That I'm trying to make. Being involved, I feel like, in fellowship communities and ministries, really in places that it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people walk away from churches. That don't mean they walk away from God, but they did see the truth. Like, why does pastor have 3 swimming pools and 10 limousines, and he eats the finest lobsters every night, but his members are they on the news being locked up for selling drugs or this or that or that? That's crazy, bro. Like, I would just want, if I had a mega church and they come ask me how the young people that come to that church are doing, I know I should have an answer. If they ask me, I mean, if the pastor just be like, hey, they test scores ain't my business. That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't the test scores of the children who attend your church matter to you? You just want to have an open door where you say, yeah, I got members here. This one, because I'm not going to pick on any of the churches specifically, but this one that was raided, everybody know. They're talking about it on the news. It was in Florida. Yep. And it's just crazy. Like, even some of the members, they said they're shocked. That part always get me. Like, when they talk to them on the news, they be like, I'm shocked. I can't believe it. As if, like, spiritual leaders aren't regular people first. Somebody had gave me their testimony before, because I sometimes when people tell me stuff, I never forget it. They be shocked like what I remember. But a person gave me their testimony, and I believed what she said. She said God told her, she probably didn't understand it at the time, but she was like, God told her her gifts don't impress him. And now that I think about that years later, it's so deep, because did God mean her physical gifts or her spiritual gifts? And if I could explain it to people, I would like to elaborate on it, because why would you think your gifts make you greater than God at any given time, right? When he's the gift giver. And I feel like people get stuck right there, like, well, I have the gift of preaching. Okay, but see, you're still held accountable in divine judgment. And when it comes to spiritual order, I don't care which part of spirituality you claim you work in, you're still held to a standard. That's how God looks at it. That's just how it is. Or they would just rather believe there is no Most High God, so they can carry on in their spiritual practices as they would like. But if you're doing it like that, then you're now a cult. You can't say that you have members to follow Christ and to follow God. The day you decide you can do whatever to whoever and say whatever with your spiritual gifts, you're now a cult. How are you a church community? And you could be teaching from the Bible and all of that, but see, that's just what come with it. People definitely, that's always been the life of a preacher. They're gonna study your life because you're put in that position to be an example, to be a whole example. For others. So you can't really get mad like, oh, why it seem like people watching me more, concerned about what I do. The day you got that label or that title, y'all, they're the ones that choose to put the titles on there and stuff. The true gift of preaching comes from God, and whether you put that title on your name or not, everybody's always able to notice a gift, a skill, a talent. I don't care what it is, even if it's a spiritual gift or talent. People are going to be able to recognize that on their own. But the sister has said that God told her, your gifts don't impress me. That's a strong word right there. I wasn't there when God told her or nothing, but I can see kind of where he coming from with it. You got a lot of people that just want to be reverenced just for that. I have this gift, I have that gift. So, I'm your king, I'm your queen, I'm your preacher. As if we all weren't blessed with some form of our own diverse gift. I think God was trying to tell the people through her, yeah, your gifts don't impress me. I'm God. Don't you know I'm the gift giver? And every gift that anybody walking around here right now, it came from somewhere. And tell people that right now, I believe that. So if your gift is preaching, your gift is preaching. If your gift is this or that, I'm talking about spiritual works specifically. Healing or this or that. Yes, you're held to a standard. That's why I feel like God more looks at our heart over what you say your gift is. He's looking at your heart. People can run from that all day long, but judgment starts with the people who knew better. I'm not just going to say preachers and stuff. I'm going to say every soul that knew better. Judgment is starting there, but judgment is not exempt from everybody. You see what I'm saying? And it's funny. I do believe people with gifts are special. I do believe they exist. And I believe they get the gifts from somewhere. That's what I'm saying. Somewhere way more divine than this place, Earth. But it's funny how some of the gifted, it's like if it's not being used for what the world think it should be used for, or how the world thinks it should be used, then they won't even reverence it as a gift. But the gifted must know if the gift exist or not. But I'm just saying, look how people get so, I guess, above themselves. Like, well, I'm this gifted, so I'm now finna do whatever to the people. And it just made me think about what the woman said to me that time, because maybe God does feel like that. Nobody's gifts is impressing him. It's your heart that's going to impress him at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? Or are the preachers preaching it, or they just looking for more money? They always asking for more money. We need to build this. We need to do this. We got a new project. The project should also include the people in your assembly who might need help. Period. I would be embarrassed as a leader like that, and all these people coming to their church giving offerings and stuff. But I have no funding for them if they get behind on their rent, or if they need a ride to work, or if they support your ministry. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with you having a fund reserved for when the homeless people walk through the doors of your ministry and say, hey, I might need a bed. I just got a place, but I ain't got a bed. A pastor, a priest, a minister is somebody you should be able to go talk to about that without your business being all over the streets. You go talk to them in private right there at the church. Because I don't have a hate towards leader. I have a understanding, though, about leaders who do abuse their position sometimes, and then it's making people walk away from their faith. You think God doesn't have a problem with that? Them looking at your life as an example, they just break down one day and say, you know what, I'm done with God. I'm done with the things of God. I don't want to hear nothing else about God, just because of one thing they witnessed somebody that was supposed to be an example for them do. Now, I've outgrown that. I'm not going to look at nobody's life and say, yep, I became this because of Jack, because of Jill, because of Jenny. As long as I feel like I'm working out my soul salvation and I'm not giving up on it every day, because I do believe working out your soul salvation is not a one time event. That's something you would have to work on. Last I checked, every day of your life, every day it's a fight. Every day, the devil, you wake up, he already waiting, baby. He already got a plot, a plan. So why would you say working out your soul salvation is like a one time, yeah, well, now you're saved? It's a lot of saved people that still experience and go through things. I believe that. Or do people think if they felt so saved or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They still return to church and return to church and return to church. But I would say something wrong if you return to a church like a mega church like that, they clearly have a lot of funds. You keep returning to a mega church for 10 years and you still in the same situation, something is wrong. And oftentimes ministers and leaders, they'll say, well, it's that person, it's something they're not doing. If they kept coming to my church for 10 years and they life still the same, they take no accountability in the influence at all. Because as a leader, you influence people. The way you set up your business, the way you set up your ministry, the way you set up your corporation, it says a lot about a leader. But see, notice everybody trying to be a boss. Everybody trying to be a leader. Everybody trying to look like Don Juan Kingpin these days. You know what I mean? But where is God in it? Somebody in the chat said you ain't a king. But see, when you're on this level of your calling, you're gonna get responses like that. I'm saying I'm one of the ones who know who the king is. I never said I'm a king. And number two, I'm a woman. For the ones in the chat that didn't know that, I know who I am. You know, I'm a woman, so I would never reverence myself as a king. And then if I ever label myself as a queen, I better know what I'm the queen of. Like, see, people are just seeking power. I feel like every woman is the queen of her castle, even if it's a one bedroom apartment. She's a queen in her own right over her own territory. But the religious traditional way tells us, yeah, a woman ain't got no authority at all. A woman has, it's just weird, right? To mix traditional values in it. And then where is it traditional for people to be giving all their money at the church? And then if they lose their place or their car or something, it's like, is the church there? And they sitting up here wondering, why so many people walking away from the church? The devil busy. Well, God is exposing exactly where the devil's been busy at. And the church is first. And the church is first. And it's not a new conversation. It's just not. Okay, we know that he's busy in businesses and other places too, but churches, that's the devil's favorite stomping territory. It's actually crazy. Somebody had taught this sermon. They was like, if the devil comfortable coming in your church, something wrong. I wouldn't say something wrong. It's the times that we're living in. Like, he's getting bolder and bolder. The devil will come in the church and sit on the front row. For those that didn't know, he'll sit on the front row. He used to probably just come in and sit at the back and just kind of study and observe everybody. But the devil does not have to come in your church to know like what kind of leader you are. The devil gonna see you at church and after church and before church. That's the thing. And then he give himself rights, like invitation to people's lives, in my opinion, through how they live their lives, quote unquote, outside of church. And once I caught on to that, not people, the devil first. He feel like, I'm studying your life. I'm studying your life when you at church, and I'm studying your life when you at home. And it's so traditional to say, well, if you don't have this same personality that you do at church, at home, you're fake. Can I see that? I needed it. So I'm not going to say that's not true. But just like I try to explain to people, do they know what a setting is? setting. That's all church is. It's a different setting. Why would you look for somebody to be exactly who they are there, and you go follow them the rest of the week? That sound like the devil. I'm gonna go follow you the rest of the week and see who you are. Okay, that would just mean that you're trying to get to know me better. So whether I go to church or not, keep watching me. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't be intimidated by something like that. But make sure you're watching the leaders in there too. You see what I'm saying? Make sure you're watching the account holders and the accountants of the churches. What you mean? Make sure you're watching everybody else that say they're holier than thou and they started to see. Because when you get to talking about the money, what do they say? Whatever the quote said, follow the trail, the money trail, follow the money. That's how you find the answers to stuff. It's true. Nobody ever had a problem with mega churches. That's why they still full. A lot of people still be in mega churches. Every seat in them be full. Because if they weren't, it wouldn't be a mega church. And these days, they try to have things in the building that appease the people before it appeases God. They feel like, well, if the people come to church and they see us with coffee machines and breakfast and baby ministries and swimming pools and basketball gyms, this just makes them want to come to church. That's what they've been getting away with saying. But wouldn't that cost money? That costs money. Either way you put it, you can say that you're putting all these nice things in the church just to get people to come, but it really doesn't make sense when their church is like dripping in gold and silver, but they go home and it's dirt all over the wall. It's falling apart and they living in shacks. It's a few of these mega churches too. When national weather disasters happen in certain areas, they didn't even open their doors. I don't know what else people need to see. They didn't open their doors for them to come in there and sleep or get back on their feet after a national disaster, weather disaster, something that people can't even control. Whether you see it or not, there might be a hurricane, there might be a flood, there might be something really that was bigger than your control that happens in your community. You see what I'm saying? And you don't have to be at church for something to happen in your community where you might need the church help after that you know what I'm saying, catastrophic event. But this is not a new topic. We're just kind of giving our commentary over here today because of the several raids this week at different churches, and they were all mega churches. And for those that don't know what mega church mean, it's like a church that looks as big as a cathedral. You know, it's like I don't even know how to describe it. Mega, MEGA. And like I was telling people, though, it's still a business. You have to go register it as a business or before you even work in there. So while they saying who we working for, who are they working for? You go register it under the state that you're living in where you wanted that church, and now it's a business. It's a business before it's a church. No wonder Jesus was coming in the temples turning over tables, because what is really their motive? We ain't even talking about why the FBI raided some of these churches yet. Cause I didn't even come on this stream to talk about it. Cause some of the stuff that they're saying is already sad. Because church is the last place that some of these accusations should be brought up. Period. People come there for help. And it's like suddenly the leaders have forgotten it or something. And they say we're entitled. Oh, well, you shouldn't be coming to us for help. You should just go to work. That's crazy. When we say help, we mean spiritually first, right? You got so many people still spiritually driven by the devil or demons attacking them and things they don't even understand. Like, okay, so when they come into church, what are they learning? You tell them, oh, God loves you and it's going to be okay. But like I said, there's something wrong with if you go into the same ministry for 10 years and the situation that you were in, the day you walk through the door, you're still going through 10 years later. But there's the church is dripping in gold, and y'all got all the musical instruments and the biggest mass choir in town, and limousines and jets. More people should go interview them. I'll be an example. Go in churches and ask them, how are the students' test scores? Do you talk to the parents in the church, or do they just come to service, y'all preach, and then everybody go home? Do you know what's happening? Do the churches, are they aware of what be happening in their communities? And some of these churches, they weren't exempt. Some of them been robbed recently. I remember seeing that on the news, how a pastor, some gunman came in there and robbed the church. And another one, the preacher did not. He stood his ground. He started preaching to the robbers. They actually put the guns down. Now, I do respect that church, whichever one it was. Uh, they came in there with the guns to scare the man of God, but they actually ended up respecting the man of God, like within the same moment. And they sat down and listened to the sermon. And I think the story went, he didn't even want to like press charges or nothing because what he did was actually real. He told them young men, I've been where you at before. You ain't got to come in here and rob us. You need something, come and ask. The Bible say, ask and you shall receive. And you got churches telling people they wrong, or nonprofit organizations operating under the name of God at the end of the day so they can look good. But when somebody come and ask for assistance, they wrong. And I don't see how that's right when people actually give donations and offerings and tithings to help these organizations and churches to be able to help people. Or let me ask y'all, why do y'all contribute proceeds of your hard-earned working money to these organizations and churches without even like finding out more, like, hey, is the assistance actually going to be used towards helping single mothers or single dads or disabled people, hungry people? Because must we go back to the definition of charity, of love, of peace, of village? You know what I mean? Going back to the original definitions of what these words mean. Otherwise, why are so many people still donating and giving to these places, right? But you're not asking questions about what they do with it. Now, sometimes it's obvious. Look at it. It's a mega church, and a mega church gonna have bills every month, just like the rest of us. That's why I feel like it's a bit much. It's one thing to build the whole mega church, but now you're gonna have a mega light bill, a mega water bill. No mega church is just built like that and they don't have bills. I'm trying to tell y'all, they have bills there first. That's probably why they don't have money to help the people. It's stupid. Then, like with that church in Florida, the allegations that's against that leader, uh, he was claiming to help people, but you're really abusing them. For example, I saw another story of a man. I guess he's under fire because they were just coming in asking him. Even if it was an investigator, they just wanted to know what happened to your ex-members. Because if you're working for God, why would you just forget about people because they don't come to your church no more? Or do you care about why they don't show up anymore? I mean, did they move? Did they move forward in their career? I would want to be a part of a ministry that I could tell the FBI one day, or the CIA, or investigators, whoever. Oh yeah, this person don't go to my church no more because they came here for 3 years, but they got their life together so powerfully that they're doing better now. More churches should actually have that proof to show if an investigator needed to come ask them. In my opinion, you should have a list of people that started doing better in life. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it, but wouldn't you have records showing this is how many people rent we paid last month? I know you looking at the church accounts and you seeing how much money we get as a mega church, but look at these records that I have. How many women childcare we help pay for? How many people in prison we helped? How many homeless people we fed? Churches should very well have these records. Mega churches, for sure. Look how big your church is. You see what I'm saying? Why you don't have records to show, or some pictures and stuff on your website to show how much more successful people became after joining your ministry? You don't see that a lot. You will hear testimonies, and I'm not talking about every church. People do have testimonies. Or what other reason do they keep coming to church if they can't prove advancements that have happened in their life after following the right type of leaders? And that goes for any business organization that say, like I said, they stand behind the name of God, or they got that all in a title of their ministry or organization. So it's like, wouldn't you have proof that people advanced after getting help from you? It's weird. It's weird to think about. Like, uh, Okay. Um, just making some points here when it comes to my reaction to these stories. But I always feel like you should have a record. If you the kind of place that get donations and contributions yearly, probably even on a monthly basis, why you don't have records like real success stories that you can show that people like got better in their life? But no, they gotta go investigate. It's just kind of embarrassing, almost like secondhand embarrassment. They gotta go and investigate and find out other stuff like, oh, your ex members they just disappeared. This one preacher I'm talking about that's been on the news. I don't know if this one was out of Florida. I gotta go look it up. I know he was a white guy, and I forgot his name, but he ended up being questioned. Maybe he didn't know why he was being questioned, but their question exactly was, why are so many of your ex members, ex means you formerly once attended, why are so many of your ex members, because I'm trying to make sure I'm not reaching, like how, I mean, some might agree, oh, that's not the pastor's fault if his ex members just disappear or go missing. Well, that's not how the police look at it. Anybody that something happened to like that and it's an emergency, they would look into everything that victim once used to attend, jobs they used to work at, people they used to know. We all know this. And it's just showing us, pastors, religious leaders, what do you call them? Nonprofit organizations. They're not exempt from that. Don't be so quick to jump up and be a leader and be in control and be a boss of everybody if you're not ready to like answer to that, because even God was going to hold people to it. Nobody is exempt from pretty much, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing to worry about when judgment comes. If you did the best you could, and you know you did the best you could as a leader, because leaders do have a lot on their plate, especially if you're a leader of a church, but their main goal used to be about saving souls. Helping, you know, because we don't save the souls, but kind of like a fisherman. You throwing the preach word out there, you throwing the Bible scriptures out there. God does the rest. It's up to them if they take the bait, because I'd rather be taking the bait of God than to be taking the bait of the devil. You know, but it is up to the people if they want these life-changing events, but it doesn't look good later down the line if all your ex-members just look like all their lives fell apart. How do you explain that as a leader? You know, that's why I'm not so quick to jump in a title or who say I deserve the respect of this or that just because I love God. I'm not into that. Because see, once you do take on that title, you are held at a certain standard. You're held at a certain responsibility and accountability, not just to outsiders and members, but also to God first. He'd rather you just go start something else than to start something and put his name behind it, and you're everybody that followed you, something tragic just end up happening to them. It's something I write about that. So when I watched the headline of that news story I was just talking about, it says a pastor was questioned about why some of his ex-members had disappeared. That is crazy. I never thought I would see something like that on the news. And I guess whatever he answered wasn't enough because he ended up being arrested. That's crazy. Clearly they came to talk to you for a reason. And it's just straight up proof that unfortunately some of the churches, their usage for the members is not what we thought. I don't know why you would need a usage. You're the leader. You're the one that's supposed to be called and chosen to lead the people to God. But then they want to scatter and run when it actually comes time to answer for like their own company, their own businesses, their own organizations. You know, something that it's just a blessing to know that like something that God called you to do, you're not going to be running from, you know what I'm saying, the questions that you might have to answer for the work that you were called to do. You should be ready always to answer those type of questions. It's just kind of unfortunate though. Like you're seeing more and more and more and more of these type of like religious leaders, and not just in churches. You see the TikTok cult that just got raided too. That mansion, all of them were mansions too. So you're definitely making money off the people. You just need us blind, so we don't see it, I guess, or that's how they got away with it for so long. But every one of these places they raided that had to do with a church lately was a mega church, and then they had access to some kind of mansions. Tell me that ain't crazy. What was actually promised in the Bible for God's people? He said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. There are many mansions in my Father's house. But you can see that people that really don't walk with God, like they say they do, I guess they thought that meant like earthly mansions. It literally say that, I think in the book of John, there are many mansions in my Father's house. And Jesus said those words, but he said that they were specifically reserved for those that earn it, not people who just put themselves in a place and call themselves spiritual leaders and then say, well, I deserve all these mansions and cars and jets. You notice Jesus didn't have none of that though. He didn't have jets. He didn't have 10,000 camels and horses. It's really the truth. I'm not here to try to preach to preachers or nothing, but it's true. When did you see Jesus with 10 mansions and all of this? Jesus Christ himself. Some of these churches who they say they follow, they know Jesus didn't have all that. That's why I said it gets tricky when people don't even know how to fully teach on what a blessing is. It's just, oh, it's a blessing if you got this and that, and you should follow people. Like, don't you know sometimes losses are blessings too? Losses and some gains are blessings, but some losses are. Period. Seems like they just been more focused on the member count because of course according to how many members are, you can kind of calculate how much money you're going to make every week. It's crazy. Like, and if you lose a member, I guess they just try to gain new members. Like back in the day, we would just invite people to church. They didn't have to come. It wasn't about like just gaining members and seeing who we can get in there and keep a certain church. I've seen some churches didn't have but 10 members. You see, it took them a while to grow, you know what I'm saying, into what. But I do appreciate those type of raw testimonies. Like everybody make it like if they got a person sitting in every seat, they're certified and qualified. Not, everybody's situation is different, but I take it serious because you do have people really losing their lives, being slaughtered with machetes and swords and all kind of weapons in Nigeria right now just for believing in Christ. So I was wondering what leader thought they was just gonna skate by when it's people actually losing. They in heaven with God right now. They done already been persecuted just for believing in them, just because of what part of the world they was in. And then other parts thought that God was still gonna let them carry on with like hidden. It's just stupid. Hidden accounts and what they're doing to members and what they haven't done to members who they feel like is not fully following. That's why I say rejection can be a blessing sometimes. It's usually what you follow, you end up resembling. And I think churches are great when it comes to people looking for healthy and like healthy environments. We all know the difference between a toxic environment and a healthy environment. In a healthy environment, even AA meetings or rehab places, just anywhere where it's a community of people that actually understand the struggles of one another. But no, church done turned into a place where if you even share your struggle a little bit, you already know the members gonna judge you. When they should be praying, they should be praying for you, not judging you because of what you wore when you came there or what they saw you doing the night before church. I remember people used to make jokes about that. It was like, some of y'all go to the club on Saturday and you at church Sunday. I would, if I had a church, I wouldn't be concerned with that though. I would say that that's still a person closer to maybe uh, trying to live a better life because they could go to the club on Saturday night and not come to church the next morning at all. I wouldn't say they fake, but maybe that's a person that's also trying to keep God incorporated in what they do. They know they're not perfect. It's just crazy, like what it's all become. As far as the environments, and then you look down on the people that come and ask for assistance or say that they're the perfect candidate for some type of outside abuse. I knew it had to be some connection somewhere. Like, are churches aware that prostitutes and pimps are still outside every time they in there? Every time they in the building, there's still some kid out there suffering. There's still some woman that needs help. There's still some man that just got out of prison that could use help. Um, I don't know. I feel like you have to have a heart to understand those things. Like, why would you think God is just blessing you with a mega church and 3 mansions and you're not supposed to be serving the people? It just makes all believers start to look crazy. Though we're not all crazy. Some of us remember what ministries are. You know what I'm saying? What First of all, what the definition of a ministry is. What the definition of a ministry is. I would say a definition is just that, but I wouldn't try to put a limit on how God could use somebody. And these people show us their cars and jets and mansions, and they like, look, God is using me. What? To collect assets? To collect more money? Because now you have a mega church with bills and your mansion at home with bills. See, the bigger mega they go, that's why I was trying to point that out to people. You got a mega church, you got mega bills. You got a mega mansion, you got mega bills. You got mega collection of cars. You got probably got a mega collection of car notes. And when they start to build like that, you got to constantly keep asking for money just to keep up with those mega assets. It's crazy. When really the money you're asking the church for should be going back into helping people. It's just being exposed more and more that these same places are actually first in line to reject people sometimes with what do you want to call them, burdens, or they'll tell you, well, if you sin and I can't help you. Don't you think people already heard that from their families or other people? They wouldn't come to the church if they was able to find the help just anywhere. I don't know. It's just something to think about. If they didn't need the church help, they wouldn't be there. If they came from a family of wealth and assets and they had everything, they wouldn't be coming to church. So you don't want to mock God in that way, like, oh, I want to laugh at the poor. I want to laugh at the people who come here looking for a way to the light, but they really think I'm leading them there, but I'm really just here to take the offerings and tithes and go live the lavish life I want to, right? I'm so glad I was not quick to like jump into some title just because I love God. I can wear that as a title though, a believer and somebody who loves God and believes that God loves her. Because I've actually been there. Like, I've called a mega church before, but I'm not finna call them out. It doesn't matter which one it was. To me, it doesn't. But I remember at the time, because I was younger, or whatever. And I remember at the time calling them for assistance with something. And I visited. I wasn't a member, but I visited, and it's crazy. When I called and talked to the secretary, she was like, "Are you a member?" I said no, but I'm like a part of the community. Like, I pay bills in this community. I work in this community. You know what I'm saying? My kids go to daycare in the community at the time. But she was like, I promise. The lady told me the first qualification of assistance, if they're going to help you, and this was a mega church, was you have to be a member. MEMBER. Y'all might say, what's wrong with that? I just thought it was something wrong with it. Maybe I didn't have a better understanding of how churches worked at this time. but I was like more of an independent woman living on my own. If anything, I just had expected her, you don't have to say yes for sure. We have assistance for you, but you know what, young sister, why don't you come up here and talk to us and let's just see, learn a little bit more about you. No, her first question was, are you a member? And see, I'm not a liar. Even if I wasn't a member, I told her, I said, no, I'm not, but I visit frequently. You know what I mean? I visit frequently and I come and check out, the sermons and conferences. Uh, but that was just one church or whatever. But I never forgot that, right? That's why you want to be careful. I don't even know if the pastor of that church she had told me that. I just had I just took her answer at face value and I never called back for assistance. It wasn't that they advertised it to begin with. That's what I'm saying. If you go to a church website, it might just show more about what they do and what they have going on. Some, it might be different. It might say, oh, this section right here is for, hey, did you just get out of prison? Are you trying to get off drugs? Do you need help with bills? It's never a section for that, really, when you go to a lot of church ministry websites, period. But they try to tell a woman like me, no, you shouldn't be trying to incorporate business with ministry. I was willing to do what I have to do for God to make sure that people have help. That's not assuring that you would have all the money in the world all the time to do it, right? Or that you could tell every person yes, but that's the point of starting these things. Once you have the platform of a church to begin with, don't try to add and build onto it. Add and build onto the branching services that you can offer now that God has blessed you with their church, That's the thing about churches too. They've never been known to let people tell them what to do. So I'm not gonna start trying to do that now. It's crazy. You mean to tell us it's those though? That's why I'm making it my business to make sure people know that though God has shown some of us that, like, hey, judgment is going to be starting with these people who I feel like knew better. That's how God sees it. And I feel like he is a righteous judge. Like, why just go start judging the sinners? That's what churches do. That's not how God is. If anything, he says that it's better you were a sinner and never knew him at all than to know him and got to know his love and got to know his grace and got to know his mercy and got to know his blessings, and then you still be one of those that join the devil in what they do to God's people. That's crazy. Of course he would respect the sinner more than you because he knew you knew better. It's not saying that other people won't be judged. I just said judgment will start with those who knew better first. I bet you that. They don't just go for church leaders either. I just feel like there's certain people in certain positions on certain levels with certain titles that had access to better education, better funding, better resources. And so God looks at them as they knew better. They can't stand before God and say, oh, I didn't know God. I didn't know I was doing something wrong. Not those. The church. Oh, no, he's judging those places first. Or if people didn't believe in it, wake up. It's all over the news. Like 3 mega churches or more got raided just this week alone in different states across the nation. And it hasn't just been churches. It's been like celebrities, other organizations, businesses. It's not just churches, but I was saying when it comes to the divine judgment of God, I feel like, yes, he does hold churches and ministries and quote unquote nonprofit organizations to a higher standard. He didn't just bless you with all those things to be able to have the image that you're helping people. I don't think God works like that. He created those things or blessed those things when people started them for them to actually help people. That's the thing. And it's so crazy how the devil has gone to these type of resources and churches and communities to pollute them. Because, of course, if you pollute those places, where can people really seek help? It's like I can break down his whole strategy. I've been looking at it so long. I even believe the devil is real. I believe there's an adversary for sure. I believe there's a way, when I say darker, because not everything is dark, it just means evil. But I do believe when I say darker in this way, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. There's a whole darker agenda when you can actually see the devil attacking places of resources, attacking places that you've never heard be attacked this way. And I don't mean like with the investigations and stuff, nobody's exempt from that. And if we know that about earthly judgment, why would people think they were going to be exempt from divine judgment? You can only believe that if you believe that divine judgment doesn't exist at all. It's a crazy way to find out by just being judged one day, though. So I'd rather be aware. You know what I mean? A judgment that you're more maybe prepared for versus that it just came out of nowhere. I say it's two different things. So that's just my opinion. I said I feel like leaders of things in places like that are going to be under divine judgment first. They can preach and look down on everybody all they want to. You're still under divine judgment first because God held you to a higher platform, a higher standard. He knows you can't play God. He knows people with that kind of knowledge knew better when it comes to like polluting and tampering with souls and lives, period. Period. I'm just saying, do anybody feel me? Like God knows he's not a fool. He's not an idiot. You can laugh at his people and call him what you want to, but he's not a fool. He knows you had to have some level of knowledge to even open a church, to even start a business or a nonprofit organization where you're using the name of God saying you're trying to do a good work. You think God don't know that you had to have some type of knowledge, some type of connection? It probably was him too. I believe he helped a lot of people get to where they are. And I'm not a hater. They misunderstand me so much. How I'm gonna hate something I understand? That's crazy. Like, I just feel like he holds them to higher standards. They don't have to like it, but people should know that before they go jump in like certain seats. You do know divine judgment is watching you every day. Why? Because you just took a leadership seat. You just took a leadership position. It wouldn't be called leadership if there's not followers. Period. It wouldn't be called it wouldn't be called a high seat if there wasn't somebody lower than you. You understand? So why would they think God is a fool? And he don't see that. For so many generations and centuries, a high seat was just a high seat, and the power that came with it, right? I'm gonna say the earthly power that came with that. It was never questioned. People just see, but the Bible says, oh yeah, there's spiritual wickedness in high places. Maybe they just feel like we should get rid of the Bible. Some of us still gonna believe that. It's already been proven. Why would wickedness just exist in the poor, poverty-stricken places? What's wrong with people? Wickedness definitely gonna exist in a room full of money every time. Every time. It's at least gonna try to creep in. It's gonna be there ready to tempt people. I mean, that's just what happens when money's in a room. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like God wants me to know these things. I don't know. And I actually enjoy sharing my perceptions, views, and commentary with others. It's not about being right. I told people already I'd rather be confident than right. But maybe they don't understand that when I say that from my heart. I'd rather be confident in what I'm saying than right, because a confident person can be told they wrong. They're not going to have a problem with it. And they understand, okay, you're right. I was wrong. I'm going to confidently tell you I was wrong too when I know I was wrong. That's what I enjoy about being confident. It's not about being right. I'm confident in that I'm right and that I'm better than people. No, I'm so confident. Even when you tell me I'm wrong, you might be surprised. I might agree with you. You're right. I was wrong that day, because I'm a confident woman. You're right. I could have did that better. You're right. I made a mistake right there. But people be trying to pass as confident, and they don't even like constructive criticism. They automatically take it as offense. They automatically take it. No, there's a real thing called discernment. If the churches was really teaching this, all they teach us about discernment, though, y'all, they're gonna be like, discernment is important, but you want to get mad like God don't see you when somebody's actually using it? So what are you teaching us about discernment if I can't use my discernment and give somebody constructive criticism without them taking it as offense all the time? You said I gotta have discernment, so I'm not gonna say everything in this life is right just to keep people happy. I'm not. If it ain't right, it ain't right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Like I said, if I can accept that about myself, that's where God was showing me, well, baby, everybody ain't gonna be you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be, everybody not gonna be the next man either. Everybody got their own opinions about this thing, but I don't want to see people keep following wolves in sheep clothing. I don't like it. It don't make me feel well to even know that there's people out there doing it. And then they wait till the pastor on the news and say, I had no idea. I didn't know. How you don't know something and God actually commands us to use our discernment? Maybe you had a feeling, maybe you had a spark intense of intuition, maybe you had a dream, maybe you saw something that you thought didn't mean nothing one day. All of that's going to count in divine judgment. And just because divine judgment is going to start with the leaders first, I do not think any other soul on this earth is going to be exempt from it. These are my beliefs, though. I don't have a church. I don't have a ministry at this time. And I'm not going to speak on what God has told me about my future pertaining to it. But I have had dreams, though, y'all, that, I don't even know if I want to speak on it. Not about me, but the future of these type of settings, literally. And I've been quiet because the leaders that are out there, they so ready to tell you, that ain't right, that ain't a God. Why? Because I don't have a title like you guys? How do you know God Almighty the same one that you say led you to be a leader didn't show me something and I'm your follower or I'm his follower or that person follower? If we following the same God, people need to humble themselves. Why can't one of your followers tell you a vision they had, a prophecy they saw? Why they can't tell you something they experienced that God told, because a humble person understands that God might use a child or somebody lower than them to teach or show them something. And this is just what I'm talking about when it comes to the integrity of spiritual leaders to begin with. You can't tell them nothing. Not one that's not humble. You can't tell them nothing. I said I'd rather be confident than right. That doesn't mean I don't believe in righteousness. I just know that I'm going to be wrong sometimes. And there's no room for growth if I can't be told where I'm wrong or I can work on something. I do appreciate people, though. With me, they might not just come out and tell me I'm wrong sometimes, but they might show me where I can work on some things or that they would like to help assist me to work on something. That's what we miss seeing when it came to real, true church establishments. Not just somebody telling you to come back next week, but you've been coming back for so many weeks and your situation ain't changed yet. Well, what's really going on? And they don't want to take accountability to us. That's fine. But see, there's a God we all will answer to. And see, when it comes time to answer, you won't even have to tell a person the date and the time that their divine judgment is coming. Most people recognize it. You can call it karma, you can call it divine judgment, but most people recognize it personally, individually, when it comes upon them. Even if they don't speak upon it out loud, yeah, they know what's going on. Because the ones that know better or knew better, you can't hide that from God. Period. So when it comes to the edification of the people, why would you just divide them and say it's just black people, it's just Latinos, it's just this people? Every culture you can name has some type of religious affiliation behind their culture. That's all I know. I know this with the Catholic churches. I've heard they're not perfect sometimes either. You know what I mean? They've had priests and stuff on the news that's been exposed for some crazy stuff too. But when it comes to the act of welcoming and charity, I can't lie. Shout out to St. Vincent de Paul. That's just one I'm familiar with. Like, it's not just a church. Baby, you call them and you need some assistance and they have one of those in your state. I know personally that they help people pay their rent. This is not about that. I'm just using it for example. They're not just there for people to come to mass and drink wine and eat a piece of bread on Sundays. If you need help, you can call them Monday through Friday too. If you need to come and do a confession, you set up an appointment with the priest and you can do this. Where is that same welcoming spirit though in mega churches? It's almost like you don't want to start looking like if the people don't have no money, you don't want them there. Because now, what kind of leader are you? I'm not God. I know that. I know God, and I know that divine judgment is real. Judgment can be beautiful. Don't you know that? You can win judgments literally in court. You win a judgment, or the judgment is on the other side and there's a penalty. And judgment never comes with the judge not telling you where you were wrong at. You see what I'm saying? Not even in earthly judgment. It's usually the person is going to understand before they get that 10 years why they got that 10 years. You understand? Or if that person is going to be blessed with 10 years of blessings in divine judgment, God is going to tell them why. Hey, well done, my good and faithful servant. Even when you didn't have a dime in your pocket, you trusted me. You prayed to me. You didn't go depend on man. You didn't look the other way. You didn't go sell your soul to Satan. So this is why you're finna get 10 years of divine blessing. And this person over here might get 10 years of divine. Now they have penalty to pay. See, when they say he paid for our sins, what did they think that mean? You're pretty much spitting in God's face for him to say, I paid the sins of those who choose to believe in me. You're spitting in his face to just keep telling them that their life is going down a certain path because of a sin that they're committing. When God said he paid the sins and you're the divine leader. So what's going on? A person shouldn't be still experiencing the same thing. I just don't believe it. You've been going to the church for 5 years and the same thing you was going through the day you walked in the door, you still going through 5 years later? How does that make sense? Even occultists and witches, I'm not trying to be funny, but they have actually seen results with their prayers and their chants and the rituals that they do. It makes me angry in a righteous way, though. That's why I talk so passionately about it. They're more organized. That's what I noticed about the devil and the things that I guess he put in a lot of time. He puts in a lot of money. The devil, I don't know if he thought he was studying me. I've been studying him for a long time, too. I don't know why I'm like that, but I could be watching a person and they don't even know that because God's showing me things about them. I don't know how to explain that to people, but it's just like things I knew about people I hadn't even met yet, or maybe I just see them on social media or on YouTube. You'd be surprised who know your business. But a wise man taught me, if I can see you spiritually, you should always be able to see me. How are we worshiping the same God and believing in the same Jesus Christ? And I can see your business in the spirit, but you can't see mine. Something is wrong. Somebody's blind. Somebody's not tapping into their divine gifts yet, right? So I still firmly believe that today. I'll never just sit up and listen to a person and what they say God has shown them about me and over and over and over again. But when I try to tell them what God, I don't know why they don't believe it. Hey, God, well, God showed, let me finish. Let me, hey, is this true? And then they be looking at you like, how you know that? Because why would you think you can see it to my life, sweetheart? Tap into it at any time and just see me, and I can't see you. That don't even make sense. Number two, this was getting good. How you see me spiritually, but I can't see you. Make that make sense. Everything is a two-way street, unless it's a one-way street. And the way this works in righteousness and holiness, there's never a one-way. Well, it's a one straight path street. That's what I'm saying. But it's a two-way street. If I can pray for you, you can pray for me. If I can bless you, you can bless me. If I can curse you, you can curse me. That's what I mean with the two-way street. Like there's always a positive and negative to everything. Or it's just equal. God is not a favor of persons. Like, I do respect positions and titles and seats. Let me make that clear here at You Will Make It TV. As the audio host I am, I'm just giving my opinion. I totally respect order and I see why it's needed. What did I just say? It seemed like everything the devil put together, baby, there's order. He got a specific time. He got the specific people he's chosen. Baby, they armies be so well put together, I really be kind of shocked. And they say, well, Teddy Sherry, this is not new. The devil, God never told us the devil was dumb. Have y'all noticed that? God is the truth. He ain't gonna lie to us. He ain't never told us the devil was dumb. Another thing he said was in the last days, he was going to allow him, which shows us another reverence that God is all powerful and the most high, because to allow somebody to do something, you have power over that person or thing or entity. But God said, yeah, in the last days, I'm going to actually allow Satan, the devil, to be able to use powers. See, but people think they know everything. Not that scripture. I'm talking about this part. If you knew every power the devil had, that scripture wouldn't be in the Bible. First of all, he said, I'm going to allow him to use powers and do things that he has been pretty much like banned from doing. I'm going to allow him to do it. Because, see, that's God's way of using the devil. See, when this gets released, which I think we're already in that time, I feel like that time is here. Because we have been seeing the devil do things that we ain't never seen before. Or is it just me? But I believe that time is here. And that is supposed to help separate the wheat from the tares too. Because, like, we don't know what that might consist of or how much deeper it can get. But just know he said he was going to allow that time period, you know, because the ones that's supposed to walk with God, they're going to be right there. They're going to stay right there. Actually, they don't have nothing to worry about, no matter how much power the devil gets allowed to use. You might want to be on the right side, though, because just the little power he's had that we've seen all this time, oh, yeah, it can overpower people if you're not in the right place. It can. So just imagine him being able to use powers that God actually banned him from doing. Like, man, you can't tell me God is not a gracious God, or that his mind can be easily broken down and figure out like mankind's is. A scientist can sit down and study the man's brain all day long, can't he? But God's mind, all you can do is study that. All you can do is study that. It's just going to continue to be a mystery. And that's another reason I love him. People have a problem with diversity here on earth. I don't on earth, and I don't with spiritual things. I understand that there are things bigger than me. You know what I mean? I understand that there are places I've never seen, or that as long as I live, I should be every day discovering something new, or something is wrong. What's wrong with that? How you going to say you live 50 years so you know more than somebody? I would say experience is still the best teacher. You could be 50, I'm 30, but I didn't experience as much as you, and you 50 or more. I know God works in that way. If he is trying to use a person sooner, who gonna stop him? And see, I noticed that too. People like, I don't like who God is using and choosing lately. That's too bad. Because the people that was in these seats, what were they doing? The people that you said look like they should have it. The people that you said, oh, they have the better voice. The people that you said, well, they actually have a bigger family. They come from a family of West, so we're going to choose this person. I didn't see the world get any better lately. That's all I'm saying. So if God want to use a drunkard, a crackhead, a ex prostitute, what's your problem? If we serve the same God, the same Jesus Christ, we believe and we understand that his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts, like he said in the Bible, why would you try to put what he's able to do in the box or in a bottle and put a lid on it? God is bigger than your lid. God is bigger than your box. I'm trying to tell people in a nice way. I understand diversity. I understand that he gave the parable of the people, the virgins, with the oil in their lamps. And he was like, don't use all your oil, because if you run out of oil, you're going to be late to the wedding, or you're not going to get in the wedding. That's what it was. It was a parable. And some of them, they saved theirs. The other ones, they were foolish. She called them foolish women. They they used all their oil, because I don't know why they did it. But then they thought that they were going to just ask the other women, oh, we ran out of oil. The wedding finna start. Can we use some of yours? And the women told them, no, you can't use some of You're not finna make us lose our spot because you done used all your oil. It was something like that. And it was like, because these other people that were expected to come, how did that parable go? Pretty much, the parable goes, Jesus was inviting people off the streets. I'm trying to show y'all something in a spiritual perspective. He was inviting people, all of y'all, just come on. Because see, these people are trusted, and these people that are called to do the right thing and save their oil in time for the wedding, their lamps have burnt out. But The wedding must go on, right? Yeah, this is in the New Testament. It's a whole parable, right? About life to help us to see something. Now, that's the same thing with a savings account or anything that you should really save. It's just wise, even if you're not a religious person. Don't use everything, right? Because now, when it comes time to where you might really, really, really need it to get access somewhere, you ain't gonna have it. And yes, God reverenced them to as foolish people. You're foolish, and then you just thought you was gonna ask somebody else, and they supposed to give it to you. So now he just started inviting the drunkards, other regular people off the streets. He said, y'all are welcome to come party here. If they want to think that was about oil and lamps and parties and there was nothing spiritually significant about that, that's them. I see I see the revelation in that parable. You know what I mean? And yes, I see God doing it today. He's like, well, look at these stragglers over here. Ain't nobody using them. As a matter of fact, they done rejected them to the max. What a perfect place to start. If I still need to carry on a mission and get something done, get a word out, actually, maybe they're better to use. People might wondering what I'm doing. And God said he would do a new thing. Was that in the book of Jeremiah? Okay. He said, I might do a new thing. It didn't say might though. I will do a new thing. He just want people to know. They said, God don't change. He's the same God. And the same God that said he's the same God said he can do new things too, with a capital N-E-W. Divine newness is not just going to look like an earthly newness. When we get something new, we just look at it as unused, okay, on earth. It's like, oh, this has never been used, so it's new to me. Or you never seen it before, so it's new to you. But divine newness is something totally different. Not only is it new, it's spiritually new. How you gonna touch that? How you gonna touch that? So I'm okay with what might seem to be old in my life or tarnished in my life or broken in my life. You know why I'm okay with that? Yeah, I'm familiar with what spiritual newness is, and I've experienced it a time or two. And when something has been touched that way, it's like hard to defeat it because it's new. Do y'all understand where I'm coming from? It's a new thing. Like, how you gonna know what to do with it? You ain't ever even had it before. You ain't even seen it before. He told Joshua in the book of Joshua, one of my favorite stories. Joshua had just prayed for the sun to stay up a little longer. Y'all know he was the army leader who the movie 300 is based off of. It's one of my favorite Bible stories, actually. I didn't know that at first, that they had kind of made that movie, based off of it. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Joshua was a man of God. He always prayed, but even when it looked impossible, like, God, how am I gonna defeat this army and I got fewer men? Pretty much. I'm just trying to tell y'all the story in a summed up way. He could have prayed for anything. He could have said, God, I need more soldiers or I ain't gonna be able to win. He didn't pray for that. Joshua's faith was so powerful. He said, God, I just need the sun to stay up a little longer. And we all know the sun rises and sets at a certain time. On earth, like as earthly beings, we know this. But when he tapped into the spirit and prayed a particular thing, and might I add, from a place of faith, that's not something people give us. Faith is a personal thing. You know what I mean? Anyways, he prayed from a place of faith and he asked for the sun to stand longer. I'm bringing it up for a reason. Not only did the Bible say the sun stood longer, it also continues on and says it had never been seen before and that God would never do it again. So that's an example of spiritual newness where God can make a way just for you that's never been seen before. It's like newness, N-E-W. Nobody had ever seen a real ocean be parted until Moses came on the scene, and they be expecting you to just settle for what seems broken or what seems raggedy or what seems old. But see, I don't let that bother me too much because it's like, oh, okay, these people haven't read about newness in the spirit or something, and people have earned their spiritual ranks for a reason. There's knowledge that they've tapped into. I don't know, like. It all comes down to what we believe. And I don't just want to believe in fairy tales. You see, some people, they do. They still look at God as a fairy tale. So they just taking offerings and tithes and donations and contributions. And they say, well, we're in control of it. I'm not gonna be led by God with who we help with the resources. I just want to. This is my business, so this my organization. This my church. I'm gonna go make sure I get me a swimming pool in my mansion. I'm not saying that God can't bless a person like that, but see, there are preachers like TD Jakes, right? Like some people probably think that that's just his only job. Like, oh, he's just a preacher. That man have other businesses. He has helped to produce movies. He has written books, and I can go on and on. He probably got a few website stores. He just has businesses out of. That's not a preacher I would use, for example, to say he's only using the church members' money to get the things that he's obtained. That's really a businessman. That man really is an entrepreneur. Not saying I know him personally. I am from around the way, you know what I'm saying, where he started his ministry. I'm not gonna lie to people. I'm right there from Texas. But I'm aware, you know what I'm saying, you can work for God and still be an entrepreneur. That's just an old traditional myth that people tell you you can't. And I'd rather be that type of woman if I were to go that direction, because you will have people that try to accuse you that you're using the proceeds from church to fund anything. They're never going to accuse me of that. If anything, I go start my own hustle outside of church, my own business. I could be a minister and a business lady too. You call me on Monday from 9 to 5, you get business services. Or you want to pray, we can do that too. On Sundays, if we come in there, we do what we do on Sundays, or on the Sabbath, however it's gonna go. But you know, you would still wear other hats outside of the church building. You might be a family woman, you might be a mother, you might be a dog owner, you might have other skills and trades that, you know, God was already strengthening you in before you even went into ministry. And it's just funny. They like, if you ain't like Moses and gave up everything, then your ministry ain't real. Even Moses gained, though. There's never been a prophet I've seen yet lost and surrendered something to God, but they didn't gain, Gain, on the other side. So we know what gain looks like, but I would say we know what greed looks like too. Period. They want to tell the people, what you gonna tell your church members? They jealous of you? Stop trying to stop them. If they're so jealous, like you say, stop trying to stop them from going to start their own ventures and possibilities for themselves. See, I would like to have a ministry like that, like where we actually helping people to get on their feet. And get on their feet doesn't mean you owe me for the rest of your life either. Because I just wonder with a lot of these leaders. But it would mean you got on your feet. Because look, me as a minister, I'm not going to be here forever. We all got a time to go. I would want to make sure when I die, I have helped enough people and to get on their feet where they can continue that legacy. That's what that's supposed to look like. See, there were people who continued the legacy of Jesus Christ. They were called the disciples. They were still going around preaching the gospel. Last I checked, even after Jesus died. Okay, Moses, Aaron, and the people that walked with Moses, they still continued in the ways of the Lord, even though Moses died one day. What do y'all mean? The work of God has never stopped, but it always has come with resistance. You know, when it's a real ministry of God, when you see that strong resistance. That's all I came here to say tonight. If it's so many easy swimming pools and limos and airplanes and jets, I don't know no more. Is that really from God, brother or sister? Because, you know, the real works of God, the disciples and the gospels and in the Bible days, it always came with resistance. Anything the devil strongly fight like that, you know, Christ is in that for real. For real. Like they took Jesus all the way to Calvary and made sure to hang him with exactly 3 nails in front of everybody. I would say what he was doing was a real ministry. Look how you were persecuted. It's been taught for too long. No, see, they're not established like us. That's not a real minister. If anything, that's a sign of a real minister. Every time. How are they being persecuted? How are they being worked against? How are they being talked about? Though they talk about loving God. What are they going through? Okay. And then I wouldn't talk any different. I really wouldn't. If I had a ministry, I wouldn't talk any different than what y'all heard me saying on my podcast right now. I wouldn't talk no different. I would still stand on the same truth that I believe in. Why would I speak something that I don't see any helping anybody else? But anyways, I would want to help my members get on their feet. They coming back saying, "Hey, Miss Whitney, I opened that barbershop last week, and we celebrating. We throw a party at the church for the brother." You know, because why would I want to have to be doing better than everybody else, or make it like only certain members can flourish? They only certain members have the capability. If the investigators came in my church, we would have records and proof of where the people could say, yeah, this ministry helped me to walk into entrepreneurship. This ministry helped me to go back to school. This ministry helped me to restore my marriage. This ministry helped me to find a program for my kids to get in, you know. And that's just, it goes back to what I said. Like, that's why divine judgment will start in certain places. And yes, there are scriptures all over the New Testament that talks about, I know it talks about drunken preachers. Like, God just don't like preachers under the influence like that. See, you're supposed to drink to get buzz. Even Jesus understand that. I don't care. That's why I like to read what he have to say about things before people sometimes, right? If I really, really want to get to the nitty gritty about something. Even Jesus understand what wine is, and that alcohol is very real. And I don't think he minds people indulging, but to get drunk is a whole nother thing. And then he just talks about that. He don't like drunken people. You know, you somewhere getting drunk. Then you just come back and preach. I don't know. He just talks about that in the New Testament. He's not with that. He just, them specifically, he doesn't feel like they should be under the influence. Maybe he already knows how the enemy tries to use drunkard influence over, you know what I'm saying, people. So I don't think he doesn't believe in people drinking, but I do feel like he's against people getting drunk, you know. It just make you wonder, if you got mansions and mega churches and cars and swimming pools, it's like, what else do you got going on? You know, they got secret accounts, probably land and money. It's just crazy. It's different if a preacher can come out and say, no, I earned all this. Look at the business I have outside of this church, right? Look at the things, the fundraisers I did. I don't know. I would just say, if you could prove the funding for your church wasn't all from the members, then you're in a better position. Just trying to help edify. Nobody has to know. I mean, nobody has to care about where I'm coming from right now. But you get what I'm saying? Like, why, if you have records to prove, no, I'm not just a preacher. Some are called just to preach, though. Everybody's story different. And if y'all don't think leaders being jealous of their followers is real, you got another thing coming. You're not looking at life real yet. Y'all remember the story of Saul and David? We talking about a king who had way more than David. He had way more power, way more resources, way more connections. And still, I think the Bible say he envied David's favor particularly. He knew him and David loved the same God and worshiped the same God and believed the same things. He just still chose to, I don't know, envy David. He knew that God had something special for David in his future. People should go read that. And like, it just talk about it. Like, sometimes they'll go, David didn't know, he might have knew. That's what's crazy though. If two people that worship and serve the same God, one of them become envious of the other one, that's what I'm talking about. Why would you think the other one don't see you? Like, it's crazy. Y'all both worship God. Why wouldn't he show his other child, like, who's jealous of them or who's trying to hurt them? Why wouldn't he? And why would anybody be mad about it? It sounds like a good father, a good God to me. So David was aware, but he's another young man that's known to have carried himself uprightly through that whole season of what he was going through with Saul too. Imagine you're supposed to be an example for David. You're supposed to be, getting him ready for his position in the Lord one day, but actually you're working to try to have him set up and killed every chance you get. But you're actually in a higher position than him. And they think divine judgment won't start with leaders. I just was wondering why would people think that? Because it's just like Spider-Man Grandpa said, with great power comes great responsibility. I just think they should have added one more word. If I had wrote the script, it would have said great power comes with great responsibility and also accountability. Not saying that Spider-Man's quotes are in the Bible, but there's a lot of truth to that. With power comes great responsibility, but see, they should have used the word accountability because it's very true. So it was just like, that's why you could sit back and just chill too, because people didn't know the other side of power or something. Even with electricity, power is a positive and a negative charge. You understand? Power is just never a positive charge. There's a negative charge that brings that power together. You understand? And it's like, oh, everything about me is positive because I'm a leader. Look at all this power and money and connections I got. And you actually sat back and watched the world slowly kind of turn into that. Like, oh, as long as they got power, that's what the people believe in. Even Moses, on all that stuff God brought do y'all know that? All that stuff God brought the Israelites through. That's the thing about God people too, sometimes. Especially the leaders. They all started somewhere too. I bet you they did. And it's like they'll forget where God brought them from. I might think this topic is old, but it's actually more time now than never to speak more on it. How can a leader forget how they were once led or why they were led there? And they was just like, Teddy Sherry, that's what happens with power. But I don't believe that. God had many leaders, you know what I'm saying, that we can reference to in the Bible anytime we need to, that actually did their best. And when I say leaders, I mean whole kings that loved God. People love quoting the book of Psalms, but do they know David's story? And that the leader, let me say that again, people love quoting the book of Psalms. It's everybody's favorite book. Everybody know at least 1-2 scriptures from Psalms, right? But do they really understand David's life? Because there's no way they would say some of the things they say today if they did. Even David had leaders over him at certain periods and seasons of his life that just didn't want to see him succeed. They would never tell him that openly. It became so obvious divine judgment had to step in. If divine judgment came in and Saul was a whole king, it can still happen today. They say he's the same God. For years, he was secretly envious of David. But they love quoting the book of Psalms as if they understand, where David's heart was coming from with some of these prayers. Why do you think people love quoting the book of Psalms? If those prayers didn't come from his heart, they actually wouldn't be powerful quotes the way they are. Because I look at them as Psalms, quotes, same thing. Yeah, let them joke about the quotes all they want to. But like when I come from my heart about quotes too, I think about David. They didn't know that. But they'll quote David to this day. They'll quote his Psalms. It just, I'm angry, but in a righteous way. Because some people didn't even know righteous anger exists. Oh yeah, God gonna back up his servant if they're angry about the right RIGHT things. Anger is anger no matter what you look at it. But yes, God do see people's heart. If you're actually angry about the right things, I'm not saying you stay there. Do something about it. Pray about what you're angry about. Show God where you think things should change, you know? Because I know I respect authority because I respect God. So it was just interesting knowing that about David's journey and his walk of faith as well. Yeah, we can all go quote the prayers he prayed while his enemies were attacking him. But see, I do believe one of them was a whole king. Somebody who had way more than David. You see what I mean? Somebody who even like pretended to entertain him in a righteous way, but behind the scenes in his heart, he was actually envious of David. And if God saw that back then, he see what some of his servants are going through today as well. But see, when he has called a servant, it says something about David had been anointed to be king. But that's a whole nother topic. Not and more than once. So no matter what resistance rose up against it, his word never returned to him void. His word is going to come to pass. Those resistance sometimes help it to come to pass faster. It's like the devil can be used as a vessel. He loved using vessels, but see, it's many references in the Bible where he himself, Satan, and his energy, he was used too. He was just hoping that all of Saul's spitefulness behind the scenes would break David in a way where he no longer believed in his promises. It's like even if a believer get discouraged, they can't forget about God's promises. They can't give up on that because his word does not return to him void. He is the truth, the way, and the light. Not some mega church preacher. No matter how much a mega church preacher has, guys, they'll never be the way, the truth, and the light. You were still just supposed to be a vessel for God. A vessel is just something that contains something. You know what I mean? That's what a vessel is. Something that contains something. That would mean what's being contained on the inside does matter. Is it God? Is it the devil? I just feel like times were better when God was the one anointing and ordaining who received certain positions of power. When they just let anybody do that now look, it's just crazy. I'm not even trying to be funny. Just who people think should be there, who they vote in, who they choose. You know what I mean? Maybe the earthly land of the living was just more in an orderly shape when it was God's power who raised up somebody where they supposed to be, not some mega church, not the one with the most money and the most power. That's all I'm saying I believe in. Thank y'all for tuning in to another live segment with You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational quotes, divine messages, and insightful topics weekly. Make sure you hit that subscribe bell so that you will be notified every time we are going live in the future as well. And we appreciate your support.